Here's the weekly weather briefing made on June 5th, 2014. Before we look at the forecast, here's a look at the current radar and satellite imagery from one of our experimental websites, preview.weather.gov/edd. The URL for this specific display is at the bottom as well. We're looking at a large complex of thunderstorms across Missouri and northern Arkansas. This is known as a mesoscale convective system and is forecast to move towards the southeast, including Georgia. We'll be focusing this here in the next few slides. Before we talk about the specifics of the forecast, I wanted to explain briefly what a mesoscale convective system is. It is common in this time of the year, May and June, across much of the central and eastern U.S. to experience mesoscale convective systems. They're basically an area of thunderstorms that are formed from individual storms that organize into a single large complex of thunderstorms, like the slide I just showed was a good example of. They form in west and northwest flow aloft often and can travel hundreds of miles, often lasting 12 hours, maybe even 18 hours sometimes. And they can become stronger overnight instead of thunderstorms, which typically peak in the afternoon and evening. When they become and organize into an MCS, they often intensify overnight, even past midnight. Here's the latest severe weather outlook for day one, which is really for tonight, ending at 8 a.m. Friday morning from the Storm Prediction Center. They have the bulk of the risk of severe storms in northeast Arkansas, but a recent change this afternoon has been to add most of North Georgia into a slight risk for severe thunderstorms. Really, it's from that complex of thunderstorms that we are looking at in Missouri, and also a stationary front that is set up across North Georgia and northern Alabama and western Tennessee. This front has become quite strong in the air south of that, quite unstable, especially in Alabama. So we could be seeing scattered storms develop along this warm front or stationary front and develop into North Georgia, maybe as early as late this afternoon and tonight. SPC is highlighting winds as the most significant threat associated with this risk of severe weather today and tonight. The purple and red areas are pretty much correlated with their moderate and higher risk for severe thunderstorms and damaging wind. That's luckily outside of Georgia, but they have increased the area of 15% probability of damaging winds into all of North Georgia and the Carolinas. So we're going to be watching this closely. Here's a forecast from one of our high-resolution computer models that we use in the National Weather Service, the Hourly Rapid Refresh Model, HRRR. This forecast is valid for 3 p.m. this afternoon, which is coming up shortly, but notice even then it was doing a pretty good job with the thunderstorms across Missouri and far northern Arkansas at this time. Advancing the forecast to 6 o'clock tonight, notice how quickly the thunderstorms have moved into western Tennessee and northern Mississippi. And at 9 p.m., the forecast is moving these storms rapidly into Alabama at the time. As I mentioned, some of the newer computer models that we've looked at since this was originally captured this morning, the same computer models and one other computer model is showing weakening, a little bit faster weakening of this MCS, or mesoscale convective system. So we'll hope for that and hope this trend for weakening in the forecast models continues. But until then, we probably need to be on top of the threat, not necessarily even with this MCS, but also with storms that may develop along the stationary front this afternoon and tonight. Forecast rainfall through 8 p.m. It's going to be kind of a wet, unsettled period even through Saturday, not just tonight and tomorrow night. Notice the rainfall isn't just kind of in one area of the north and central Georgia. It's pretty much everyone's getting close to a half inch to an inch. Areas south and east of Macon, what we're indicating is up to 1.5 inches of rainfall through 8 p.m. Saturday. In fact, most of the computer models we're looking at, it's not just through the weekend, are worried about actually over the next 7 days. We're in a continuing unsettled pattern, for lack of a better word, with lots of active storm systems moving through, plenty of moisture and lift necessary to create thunderstorms. On Thursday, for today that is, you can kind of see the pattern we're in with flow coming from the west and northwest, and that storm system, you can even see a hint of it there on this particular computer model in Arkansas, moving our way. That forecast pattern valid for today, you saw in the previous slide, is going to continue for much of the weekend. But as we go towards Monday, we're going to see more low pressure to the west and southwest flow aloft. You can kind of see this from the white lines on the computer screen here from southwest to northeast roughly. This is a slight change in the pattern. We should have even more moisture than we have now, a little bit warmer temperatures as well with a southerly flow, but it's still unsettled and could be stormy. Finally, on Wednesday, that southwest flow, that disturbance that was to the west on Monday, forecast by this particular computer model, on Wednesday it's forecast to close off into a circular low pressure area and centered pretty much in this model and right over Georgia and eastern Tennessee. This would definitely get us unsettled weather through the period with rain and slightly cooler temperatures, but no real break seen in the next several days. If you want clear skies, you're just not going to get it. So as a easier to understand way to show that the pattern's going to be unsettled the next 7 days, here's a snapshot of what our forecast looks like at some specific points, one in northwest Georgia near Rome and down south in Cordele. Notice that everybody's temperatures are roughly the same, upper 80s, mid 80s to lower 90s, but the rain chances are quite high. In Rome for today and tonight, 55-60% chance of rain and thunderstorms, but only 25% down south in Cordele. But as you go out through the forecast, pretty much everybody's seeing that 30 to 40 to 50% chance of rain. At some point, you're going to have a shower or thunderstorm near you or on top of you over the next 7 days. So the takeaway from this outlook for the next 7 days is it's going to be an unsettled pattern. There's really no doubt about it. Even if there's some variation in the computer models, the large-scale features are essentially the same. Different computer models, such as the European Center model that's been quite accurate, is similar with the pattern. So we are going to see scattered afternoon and overnight thunderstorms pretty much every day, some more than others. Some storms could approach severe levels, especially this afternoon and tonight, with the amount of instability we have, with damaging winds, heavy rain, and frequent lightning, the main threats. And that's all I've got for this week, so hopefully we can dodge the rain and enjoy what we can out of this next 7 days. Thanks a lot. See you next week.